Hello viewers, welcome to my channel. I'm Hasham Ali Khan. So this is the continuation video on performance of contract. Last video I have explained you regarding the performance of contract, types of performances, actual performance and attempted performance. With number of examples I have explained in the last video, and this video is the continuation. In this video, two topics I'm going to explain you: who can make the promise, who can perform the contract, and secondly, reciprocal promises. Apart from that, practical problems on performance of contract I'm going to explain you in this video. So watch the video till the end to get a command on this topic of performance of contract. So if you have not watched the earlier video, I suggest you to go to the playlist of my channel. Select the subject business law. Select the topic performance of contract. First video, if you watch that, definitely you can be able to understand this continuation video. Now, first of all, I'm going to explain you about the persons who can perform the contract. In examination, a theory question will be asked, right? Who are the persons who can perform the contract? Who can perform the contract? So first of all, promisor himself. First of all, the promisor himself can perform the contract if it is of personal in nature. If it is personal in nature, that means no other person can perform the contract. Only the promisor can perform the contract if the terms, if the nature of contract is such that only personal service can be given by the promisor. In that case, here on, for example, an artist, suppose a painter has to make a painting of a particular person. So he alone himself can make the painting. Similarly, a doctor, when a doctor is appointed, he alone can give the personal service. So if only personal service can be given, so promisor alone can perform the contract, no other person. Next one is promisor's agent. Sometimes the nature of the work is such that the personal requirement is not compulsory. Even the work can be performed by another person like agent. For example, A promises B that I will deliver some goods to you. That means in this case, whether A himself can perform or A can appoint an agent. So instead of A, his agent can also complete the performance, because the work involved is not of a personal in nature. So anybody can do it. So here in this case, the promise can be performed either by the promisor himself or by his agent. Next one is legal representative. If after entering into a contract, the promisor dies, in that case, the legal representative has to perform the promise. Example, A enters into a contract with B to supply some goods. A has entered into a contract with B. After entering into a contract, A dies. In that case, the legal representatives of A has to complete the promise, has to perform the promise. So in this case, legal representatives have to perform the promise. Next one, third party. If in the original agreement it is written that the promise can be performed either by the promisor or it can be performed by a third person, in that case, if the promisee agrees, then the performance can be made even by a third party. For example, A owes some money to C. Then A has written that I will repay the amount to C, or else Mr. B can also pay the amount to Mr. C. C is a third party. So even a third party can perform the promise. Last one is joint promisors. If we don't have one promisor, more than one promisors are there, then it is the responsibility to complete the obligation by all the promisors. Suppose if one of the promisor dies, then the legal representative of the deceased promisor has to complete the promise. So these are the persons who has to complete the performance. the persons who can perform the contract, either by the promisor himself, or promisor and his agent, or the legal representative, or a third party, or joint promisors can complete the performance. Now, last topic in this performance of contract is reciprocal performance. So sometimes in examination they will ask you the question regarding what are reciprocal promises. Now, reciprocal promises refers to promises made by the parties of contract which form consideration or part of consideration for one another. That means P has agreed to do or not to do something for Q, and Q has agreed to give some to do or not to do against P. That means P's consideration is Q, Q's consideration is P, reciprocal to each other. This point will be cleared by taking an example. The example is P promises Q to do or not to do something. P promises to do or not to do something to Q, and Q promised to do or not to do something, and P has promises to do or not to do something to Q, and Q has promised to do or not to do something against P. So consideration for P, the consideration is Q. Q is consideration for P. That's called reciprocal promises. Here the promises are called reciprocal promises. The reciprocal promises are again classified into three categories. The first one, conditional or dependent promise. Conditional or dependent promise. That means the promise of A depends on the promise of B. Depends on the promise of B. For example, A agreed to paint the building of Q. A agreed to paint the building of Q, provided Q provides all the paints. Provided Q provide all the colors, paints, then only A will paint the building. So A's promise depends on the performance of B. If B completes his performance, then only A can start the performance. This is called dependent. These are called conditional or dependent promises. Second one, mutual and independent promises. That means the promises are mutual and independent. Independent means it does not depend, just like the first one. In this case, A promises that I will deliver the goods on 15th of May. 15th of May to B. And B promises I will make the payment on 15th of June. 15th of June. So both the promises are completely independent of one another. That means A has to supply the goods on 15th May and B has promised to pay the amount on 15th June. So both are completely independent promises. Next, last one is mutual and concurrent promises. Mutual and concurrent. Concurrent means at the same time. That means A has promised to do something to B and B also has promised to do something to A at the same time. This example we can give as cash sales. Cash sales. A is selling the goods to B on cash. So at the same time, A promises I will sell you the goods to B and B says immediately I'll make the payment for this sales. That means concurrently at the same time both the promises are completed. A is selling the goods and B is paying the price at the same time. The promises are concurrent. So this is the explanation about reciprocal promises. Now I'm going to explain you some practical problems on performance of contract. So before starting, you must have a printout of the problems which are given in the link under my description below this video. So go to the description, last line you'll find the link, take a printout and keep it ready before watching these problems. The first problem, Abdul, Mateen and Pasha are under joint promise to pay 3,000 rupees to Imran. The promisee is Imran. So these three joint promisors, who are the joint promisors? Abdul, Mateen and Pasha are under joint promise to pay 3,000 to Imran. Pasha being insolvent, the one of the joint promisor has become insolvent. Pasha being an insolvent is unable to pay anything. He is not in a position to pay anything. Now Mateen, although solvent, but does not pay anything to Imran. Now Abdul is however compelled to pay the whole amount to Imran. Is Abdul entitled to receive 1500 or 1000 from Mateen by way of contribution? Ultimately, this is the question. See, three promisers are there: Abdul, Mateen and Pasha. Jointly, they promised to pay 3000 rupees to Imran. Now, one of the promiser, Pasha, he is insolvent. He cannot be able to pay anything. Now, remaining 3000 should be paid equally by Abdul and Mateen. 3000 half means 1500 by Abdul, 1500 by Mateen. They combine and 3000 rupees should be paid to Imran. But here Mateen has not paid. In spite he is solvent. He is a solvent person, but he has not paid anything. The whole 3000 rupees was paid by Abdul to Imran. Now the question is, how much money Abdul can be able to recover from Mateen? So according to the law, according to Indian Contract Act, when joint promisers are there, one of the joint promiser is paying the whole amount to the promisee. Then the promiser who is paying the amount can recover the amount from the co-promiser. Here the co-promisers are Pasha and Mateen, but Pasha cannot be able to bring anything. Cannot be able to bring anything because he is insolvent. So 1500 rupees, total 3000. 3000 half, 1500. So 1500 rupees can be recovered by Abdul from Mateen. So ultimate answer, yes, Abdul can sue Mateen and get 1500 rupees from Mateen. That's it. Next, Asif, Rizwan and Shafi jointly lent 3000 rupees to Rahat. Promisee is Rahat. Joint promisers are Asif, Rizwan and Shafi. They jointly lent 3000 rupees to Rahat. Lent, already they have given 3000 rupees. Asif dies. Now Asif dies. Rizwan and Shafi file a suit against Rahat for recovery of the amount money lent. Will they succeed? Now, these three, they have lent 3000 rupees to Rahat. Now they have to get from Rahat 3000 rupees. But before recovering 3000 rupees from Rahat, one of the person Asif dies. Now can the remaining Rizwan and Shafi recover the amount from Rahat? No. The law says the legal representative of Asif have also to join. Only Rizwan and Shafi cannot recover the amount from Rahat. If they want to recover from Rahat, the legal representative of Shafi should also join the prosecution. So all the three, who are the three? Legal representatives of Asif and Rizwan and Shafi. All of them can file a suit against Rahat to recover the amount of 3000 lent. That's it. Next one is MF Hussain. Third problem. MF Hussain promises to paint a picture for Madhuri on payment of rupees 90 lakhs. The agreement is between MF Hussain and Madhuri to make a picture, because MF Hussain is a painter. Personal service is required to complete the promise. And Hussain dies before that date. After entering into contract, MF Hussain dies. Can this contract be enforced by MF Hussain's representative by Madhuri? No. The legal representative cannot enforce the contract because this contract requires the personal service of the promiser. The promiser is MF Hussain. So when promiser dies, because it requires personal service in nature, the contract will become void. The legal representative cannot enforce the contract against Madhuri because it requires personal service. That's it. Next, fourth problem. Mushtaq owes Wasi a sum of rupees 50,000. Mushtaq owes Wasi. That means Mushtaq have to pay to Wasi 50,000. Zafar, who is Mushtaq's friend, pays Wasi 40,000. Wasi accepts the amount in full satisfaction of his claim against Mushtaq. Will this payment discharges Mushtaq's from the whole debt? Yes. According to the Indian Contract Act, when a third person is paying the amount to the promisee, that means the original promisor will be discharged from the contract. Here original promisor is Mushtaq. Actually 50,000 rupees should be paid by Mushtaq to Wasi. Now Mushtaq's friend, he is Zafar, he has paid 40,000 to the promisee Wasi, and Wasi has accepted that in full settlement of his claim. He has accepted 40,000 from Zafar in full satisfaction of the claim. Now Mushtaq is discharged. Now Mushtaq is not liable to pay anything. The contract is discharged by making a part payment by Zafar. Next, fifth problem. Amar borrows 30,000 from Ravi, Prasad and Sharma. Amar borrows 30,000 from Ravi, Prasad and Sharma. When the debt becomes due, Amar tenders it to Ravi, who accepts it. Is Amar discharged by the payment? No. Amar is not discharged from the payment, because when there are three promises, he has to pay to all of them. Amar has to pay. Amar borrows 30,000 rupees from all the three parties. So here payment has been made by Ravi, Prasad and Sharma. So Amar should make the payment to all the parties, not to any one of the party. So when Amar pays only to Ravi, he is not discharged from his obligation. He has to pay the amount to Prasad and Sharma also. He is not discharged by making the payment only to one person. Next, sixth point. A undertook to write a book in 6 volumes. After completing 4 volumes, A died. Can his legal representative get payment for the work done? Yes, of course, according to Indian Contract Act. Quantum merit. According to quantum merit principle, that means the legal representatives of A can recover the amount for the part of the work done. So out of 6 books, 4 books he has completed. The payment can be received for 4 books by the legal representatives of A. Next, seventh problem. A, B and C jointly promise to pay D rupees 3,000. A, B and C jointly promise to pay to D rupees 3,000. A and B are untraceable. Can D compel C to pay in full? Yes. D can be able to get the complete amount from C. Next, last one, 8th one. Ram due to Sham 10,000. Gopal due to Ram 10,000. Gopal due. That means Ram has to pay to Sham 10,000 and Gopal has to pay to Ram 10,000. Now Ram is now forcing Sham to collect the amount due from Gopal. That means Ram is forcing Sham. That you collect the amount from Gopal, because Gopal has to pay the amount to Ram. Now Sham opposed the same. Explain the legality of the issue. The contract is between Ram and Sham. Ram has to pay the amount to Sham. Now Ram cannot compel Sham to take the money from Gopal, because Gopal is a stranger to the contract. Now Ram cannot force Sham that you collect the amount from Gopal, because Gopal is a stranger. Now Sham can pursue Ram to get the money from Ram. He will not recognize who is Gopal. So Gopal is a stranger to that party. So in this case, the Sham cannot accept the proposal of Ram. The amount of 10,000 is to be recovered from Ram to Sham. Gopal is a stranger. That's it. So these are the 8 problems on performance of the contract. So I have completed these 2 videos on the topic of performance of a contract. So in examination, very frequently a question may be asked either on the discharge of contract or performance of contract. The last video and this video, if you want complete knowledge, watch the video till the end. So if you are satisfied with my lecture, give a like to the video. Share my channel in your group, in your friend circle, so that more students can watch the video and enhance the knowledge. And give your comments on these videos. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe my channel if you have not yet subscribed. Inshallah, one more topic, breach of contract, will take up in the next video.